What's up, everybody? New episode of the early retirement vlog. And yes, me llamo Esre Taylor. Hola. In this episode, I want to talk to you about, or recommend, talk to you about something I want to recommend something I want to talk to you about. I'm going to do both at the same time, simultaneously, and it's going to be amazing. But there's a dude from the UK that I just became aware about. There was a new reality show, well, not new, but new to Netflix, that I got into a few weeks ago, and every once in a while I will get into. Oh, damn it! Every once in a while I'll get into just stupid reality shows, mainly just to put on in the background while I'm working or whatever. But yeah, so it started out as me finding this UK reality show called Release the Hounds. And the host of this reality show is Reggie Yates, um, which I'm going to I don't know, it was weird. It Release the Hounds, like the first season got released, and then the second and then the third season kind of shortly thereafter got released. But then also he has another series on Netflix called Outside Man. So it's Reggie Yates Outside Man, which is a collection of like this documentary series that he did. Completely different tones, these two different projects of his. But I first became aware of them with Release the Hounds. So the premise of the show is this: it's a reality show, like a reality competition kind of show, but it's themed after like horror movies. So they get three friends from the UK and they go to this mansion in this part of England where it's like rich people live, and there's stories of like, they buried money and all this kind of stuff, and like haunted houses and all this shit. And it's big property, bunch is big forest, like just a huge open place, but it's all this private um, property. This like what'd that call be? I'm so poor. I've never been rich enough to know estate. It's like the whole estate. That's what it's called. It's not like you go from like condo or apartment, then you go to a house, and then there's probably a few other, and then you go to an estate where it's just like, oh, I can like not see, everything's so far away I can't see anybody. So it's set in this place, and they have to go, and so they go to the first challenge, which is scary. They're going through the woods. They know they're on a scary show, and the first season nobody knows. Apparently, they went to like this big casting call for a bunch of reality shows, and they just picked people, so they didn't know what show they were showing up to. And then once they showed up, they're like, "Oh shit, I remember this show from the casting, whatever." And so that was interesting. The last season is a bunch of famous people. Never heard of any of them, but they must be UK famous people. Um, so the premise is pretty much the same for all three seasons. They did switch stuff around a little bit, make it a little bit better. But so they go in, they do the first challenge, and then it's always like some setup thing where it's like scary, like Blair Witch looking or whatever, and they have to get in this like almost Fear Factory, like disgusting, like blood gets shut out, and there's always like guts everywhere and raw meat everywhere and everything, and so they have to complete this puzzle or task or thing to get a key. And what the key unlocks is a chest with the money in it that they could potentially win. So they complete the task, they find the key, and then they have to choose who's going to run. Because once you get the money, you have this corridor that's lined by trees, and at the end of the corridor is a brick wall with a ladder at it, and then behind you is a pack of dogs. That's why they call Release the Hounds, because it's like, oh, you go to this estate, you steal this rich man's money, and before you get out, the hounds are released, and you got to outrun the hounds. And depending on how fast you find the key, that's how much head start you get. So, you hear how much head start you get. You see like who's gonna be who do we think can fucking run this distance faster than dogs, and then is it even worth it? So it's like sometimes they'll just sacrifice people, like, the slowest person go because hopefully we'll do better in the next challenges. So they send somebody off to run. They make it or they don't make it, and it's for like 3,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds, and 6,000 pounds, 8,000 pounds. Not a shitload of money, still a few grand. Um, and then the last two, so it's like they decide after the challenge, the person that's going to run goes this way, the other two people go that way. And then the other two people, it leads them to the next challenge. Um, and then they have to, once they get to that place, which is usually in the dark, so they can't see, it's like completely blacked out. They do a lot of crazy shit that you see in all of the horror movies. So there's some like Saw, it's very Saw like in a way, where it's like you have to do this thing to get out of this situation. Um, but still kind of the first season's still a lot like Halloween haunted house thing where it's like, well, you know the actors can't touch you. So there is that level. It's like they're not going to fuck with you physically. Um, but it's just fun watching people get scared. Cuz it's like it's the same thing if you go to a haunted mansion, haunted house kind of a thing. People get scared. I mean, even if you may not be like screaming scared, but you're still scared. And they did good casting. Like there would be people that were like just broed out dudes, and the most scared people ever. Um, but yeah, so then they go to the two thing, and then they get the key, and then they have to decide. So at the end, somebody, and after the first challenge, there's still some daylight during the first challenge. This last two challenges, it's dark out, so it's way scarier. And you're in this forest, you don't know where you're going. But then, like in the I think it was like the last season, there was one where it's like this guy, and he was afraid of clowns, and there were just tons of clowns that would like the lights would cut out, and then they would cut back on, and all the clowns would be different places. And he like after he got the key, and like was about to, it was the last challenge. He got the key, and all of a sudden the clowns started chasing him just into the forest, into the dark, and next thing you know, you hear this scream, and then he can't run the thing because he broke an ankle or sprained an ankle or something like that. But like the last season, they would fuck with people because it was like actors, probably other reality show actors from the UK. But there was like stuff where they're going down a slide and there's a false bottom on the slide. There's stuff where I don't know. There's a lot more interaction than you would expect with fucking this kind of the way it was set up. So it's a really fun show. Nothing too deep, but Release the Hounds. It's always fun. I always love watching shows from other countries. Like there's this Gold Digger show from Australia. Like it's just people have different mannerisms. They have different like sayings. But I mean, there's a similarity to it because we're all human. But there's definitely cultural differences that are fun to see in other countries. So for that reason, I really enjoy the show. But then Reggie Yates, there's this other thing that I go check out, and it's called Outside Man. Reggie Yates' Outside Man on Netflix, and it's a combination of other series that he's done, where he goes to different places, and it's just a really interesting documentary series. Which there's a bunch of guys out there that are doing stuff like that. But yeah, let me read the synopsis for Outside Man. Award-winning filmmaker Reggie Yates travels around the world tracking big issues such as gun violence, racism, gay rights, and addiction. And let's see here. So there's four episodes. No, there's 6 episodes. Three of them, which actually there might be more, maybe not. So 3 of them take place in South Africa, and 3 of them take place in Russia, and they're all really great shows. It's weird because they were rebranded, so when you try and look them up on like IMDb, it's called something completely different. It's like Extreme South America. Yeah, Reggie Yates Extreme Russia is what it was called, or Extreme UK, which apparently hasn't come out yet. And then there was Extreme South Africa. And the South African one, I mean, they're all great, but that one kind of stuck out. It's the few that stuck as far as remembering exactly what happened in all the different episodes. But it's weird because the apartheid happened. There was apartheid, then black people got a president, and it's the culturally it's shifted to where um, there's a lot of racism towards white people. It's like one of the few times I've ever seen like a lot of a common thing in the U.S. Like you can't be racist towards white people, which is I would say is pretty true for the U.S. Like you can't. There's no like racial slur. We're not really being racially discriminated against. We're not like we don't have a big issue with cops like pulling us over like hundreds of times in a year, or I've never been told to lay down face first after being pulled out of my car because I'm white. There's certain like I'm aware there's privilege that I have being a white person in the U.S. and it's weird to see that there is a place, and I'm sure there's other places. I mean, I definitely not to say that there's not people that are racist against white people. There's there's all kinds of every race has a group of racists, and racism is not an exclusively white thing. Everybody can be racist. It's just in the United States, white people can leverage their racism to keep people out and control people. So that's a big difference here. But there's a similar thing in a way going on in South Africa, which I thought was super interesting. Where it's hard to get jobs because they instituted a. They had it here too, but it sounds like theirs is uh, more hardcore. But it's where like if you for every business has to have a certain amount of different races working for them, or if two people are coming at the same qualifications, they have to take the black guy over the white guy. I forget what that's called. It was very big in the '90s, like during fucking Clinton. I think was a big maybe Bush one affirmative action, which I think they call it the same thing there, but seems more hardcore. I've never really noticed it myself, where it was that situation. I mean, businesses definitely want to be more diverse, but I haven't seen specifically where it's hard to get a job because you're white now. Um, which it seems like that's what a lot of white people were complaining about when they first started affirmative action in the United States, but apparently in South Africa, definitely a different lead up to it, different culture. I mean, we didn't have apartheid. Like the amount of racism that we have here is like a different flavor. It's a completely different flavor of being racially discriminatory and segregating people and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, super interesting documentary. Those are the only two things of his I've seen. I would love to see more of Reggie Yates' stuff. I think I did see. I did start following him on Instagram, and he did just shoot something. I don't know if it's for the same series or not. I hope so. But it's awesome, like to get his viewpoint and just the way he's able to communicate with people. And the Russian one, I think the gay he did one on being gay in Russia. That one I remember being great. They're all fucking great, but it's just like he has such an amazing like just it's no non-confrontational that it makes lets people open up easier. I think he's just really good at what he does. I mean, I hope he's getting paid. I'm sure he's getting paid a shitload, right? He's got to be getting paid. He's got probably producer credits. He's getting paid. But I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for something that's just, you like throwing something on Netflix that just keeps running in the background, check out Release the Hounds. Especially if you're a fan. I'm not even a big horror guy, but I enjoyed it because it wasn't scary to me. I'm just watching other people get scared. Although it is still filmed, the way they film it, they try and film it to look like a horror. It's really well done. I like the premise. I really enjoy it. It's not the best fucking show ever, but for a reality competition show based in horror, or not based on anything, just a reality competition show, it's pretty fun. So check that out. They're both on Netflix. Release the Hounds and Reggie Yates' Outside Man. Those are two inspired recos for me for different reasons. And if there's ever anything that you want to recommend to me, for sure tag me in it, like on Twitter and Instagram, or hashtag inspired reco, RECO. Um, I used to do a show where I'd collect all of those from the internet and kind of show everybody, kind of share them on a show. I stopped doing that. Maybe I mean, this show kind of becomes that every once in a while. Maybe I'll do some specials with this where I'll do some inspired reco episodes on this channel or this feed. But yeah, definitely recommend both of those if you're looking for something new to watch, whether it's just to turn your brain off or to turn your brain on. It'll help you out. So that's it, everybody. That's my episode for this week. You can follow me these if you're listening to the show. It's going to be going back to weekly, so prepare yourself for that. It's currently coming out twice a week, but that's going to be going back to weekly. Same as this. Both will be released on a Wednesday once they catch up to each other, which I think should be pretty soon. But yeah, so you'll be able to get this show on YouTube and on iTunes and all the podcast places on Wednesdays. But yeah, if you start sharing stuff with me, your inspired recos, then I'll start doing inspired reco episodes where I can share the listeners of this show anything they want to recommend. It doesn't have to be a movie or TV. It doesn't have to be a form of entertainment. I mean, it could be music, could be whatever you want. It could be a podcast you're into. It could be a product that you just got that really helps you out, a service that you're using, life hack. I don't give a shit. Whatever you would want to recommend that inspired you in some way. Like, don't recommend some bullshit. Recommend something that you enjoy. That's it, everybody. So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ray Taylor. You can go to inspireddisorder.com for all of the work that I do, which includes this show. Twice a week is the Inspired Disorder podcast. I do new artwork, comes out daily. The Many Faces ink drawing art series, ink on paper art series that is an ongoing art series. There's well over 100 pieces. I think I'm getting close to 200 pieces now on the website. But a new piece of art comes out every day. And every episode of the Inspired Disorder podcast gets a new Photoshop. So those are all available on the website. And if you want to support all the things that I do by just donating $1 a month, go over to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Patreon is similar to Kickstarter except for trying to fund one project. It's a monthly donation for artists and creative people that regularly put out content. So, which is what I do. I regularly, twice a week, is 2 new Photoshops, 2 new Inspired Disorder podcasts, once a week, early retirement, once a day, new piece of artwork. And I also offer services. But yeah, please go to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Donate $1. Sign up's easy. You can sign up with your Facebook account. But just donate $1. I'm looking to get the numbers up. My goal is to hit 100 supporters by the end of August. So please help me do that. And if this came out after August, go there anyway. I'm still trying to grow the numbers. Because once I get enough supporters, then I'll start putting out bonus content that's exclusive to Patreon. So there'll be a bunch of stuff, behind the scenes stuff, all kinds of stuff that I will start adding once I hit a certain goal of Patreon subscribers, which is 100. Giveaways, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and if you are in the need of any kind of creative services in the Denver area, there are some things I can do remotely. If you want product photography, mail me your product, and I'll take pictures of it. But in the photography section, if you're looking for product photography, real estate photography, event photography, photo headshots or portraits, you want fucking, yeah, I don't know, you want photo retouching, I can do that shit too. If you want voiceover, I can do that. I just did my first voiceover gig the other day. Went very smoothly. My first paid voiceover, I should say. I've done a lot of voiceover work for myself, so it's nice to get paid to do it for other people. And then I do graphic design, web design. If you're looking for a website, I can do a website. I design them all through Squarespace. Super awesome platform, super reliable. Works on every device. There's no extra coding. Nothing needs to be installed. It's super up to date, super easy to use. I love it. I've been using it personally for almost the last decade now. So, and I've been designing websites from scratch before that. So using Squarespace makes it so much easier. So if you're looking for a website, or if you're looking to start a podcast, um, you can hire me to consult. You can pay me by the hour to help you get everything you need to do set up to start doing your own podcast. So all of those things, inspireddisorder.com. And everything that's inspireddisorder.com, you can help support by going to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. That helps me out so I can keep paying the bills, so I can keep surviving, going month to month at this point, just trying to I've been booking a few freelance gigs through through Craigslist. I've been submitting work to a few online things, trying to get those approved. So I'm hustling right now. So definitely donating to Patreon helps me have to hustle less. But I do like doing this work. So if there is a service that you want me to do, I'm happy to do it. But yeah, Patreon is a big thing. Which thank you for the people that have started. There have been a lot of new supporters, so thank you all for that. Patreon.com/inspireddisorder. I'm Ray Taylor. That's it. I'm done. I'm done rambling. This is the episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for subscribing. Make sure you tell your friends to check out Early Retirement. If there's an episode you like, share it on your Facebook. Share it on all your social media. Do it all. That's it, people. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for listening, and I'm out. Peace.